My future wife reveal broke. The internet today. Screens lit up across the world. Timelines flooded with questions, and whispers turned into shouts, as everyone tried to understand how this revelation had escaped them for so long. My future wife, the woman I have chosen to stand beside me for the rest of my life, stepped into the light not as someone hidden, but as someone cherished, someone I had been guarding from the hungry eyes of a public that feeds on spectacle. The internet did not just stir, it erupted, the hashtags climbing faster than even I expected. For years they speculated, wrote their own stories, tried to link me with faces that never belonged to my heart. Yet today I shattered their narratives with the truth, showing them not just who she is, but who she has always been to me. A quiet flame burning brighter than any rumor, a soul strong enough to walk through the fire of scrutiny hand in hand with me. They wanted glamour, scandal, and extravagance. Instead, I gave them purity, authenticity, and the love they could not fabricate in their headlines. Her name, once unknown to their digital kingdoms, became the most searched in minutes, as if curiosity could unravel the depth of what we share. They dissected her pictures, traced her smile, tried to categorize her in terms of status, fame, and influence. Yet what they could not compute was the simplicity of our bond, the way her laughter disarms me, the way her eyes carry a universe I had long sought. The reveal broke the internet because it went against every expectation built around me. They believed I would choose someone familiar to their narratives, someone already living under their spotlight. Instead, I chose a woman who had no interest in fame, who carried herself with dignity untouched by the chaos of the digital stage. That contradiction between their fantasy and my truth ignited the wildfire that spread across the web. I watched in silence as the world tried to understand, some offering congratulations, others skepticism, and a few unable to mask their jealousy. But beyond the noise, my heart was steady because I had never chosen her for their approval. I chose her because in the quiet moments where no cameras intruded, she showed me what home feels like. She knew the weight I carried, the masks I was forced to wear, and yet she loved me not for the image, but for the man behind it. The internet broke because they could not grasp that the greatest revelation was not about status or appearance, but about finding someone who saw through the fog of illusion into the marrow of who I am. In her I was not a headline, not a figure, but simply a man who desired peace and truth. That truth, when unveiled, was too powerful for the fragile digital stage to hold without trembling. Every post, every comment, every share only amplified the reality of what love looks like when it refuses to be packaged neatly for consumption. She became a mystery and an answer all at once, sparking debates across forums and networks. But to me she was never a revelation. She had always been the constant I leaned on, the quiet presence who steadied me through storms. The internet may have broken because the world saw her face for the first time, but my heart broke and healed 1,000 times before in her arms, in the countless days and nights where she reminded me why all of this noise was temporary. They saw her as news, but I saw her as destiny. They saw a story to publish, but I saw vows already written on the fabric of eternity. While they scrolled endlessly, we lived quietly, laughing at the irony that something so simple, so sacred, could bring the world to a halt. When she stood beside me for the first time in front of the cameras, the world thought they were witnessing a grand performance, but I was simply showing them the woman who had already transformed my life. Her grace silenced the doubters, her smile softened even the harshest critics, and her authenticity became undeniable. In that moment, I understood why the internet fractured. It was not built to process genuine love, only to amplify controversy. Yet in revealing her, I gave the world something unmanufactured, something it could not predict or control, and perhaps that was the real reason the servers strained, why people couldn't look away. They were forced to see that love does not need their validation to flourish, that sometimes the greatest surprises are not built for entertainment, but for truth. My future wife revealed herself not in extravagance, but in honesty, and that very honesty was enough to shake the fragile foundations of everything they thought they knew. The day came when secrets could no longer be held in the shadows, when whispers that had lingered in corridors of speculation finally collided with the sharp glare of truth. The reveal was not staged with pomp or gold confetti, nor did it rely on carefully scripted speeches to soften the blow of surprise. Instead, it came like a storm tearing through the quiet, unannounced yet impossible to ignore, breaking apart the fragile shell of silence that had once held the weight of waiting eyes. My future wife, once known only to me, stepped into the light of the world with a brilliance that no rumor, no critic, no disbeliever could diminish. The internet convulsed at the unveiling, waves of comments, headlines, reactions and viral spins flooding every corner of the digital realm. But amidst the noise there was one undeniable fact. The love that bound us stood stronger than any chatter, any headline, any fleeting storm of digital awe. Her presence became not a story, but a force. They said it would be impossible, that the world would never accept what their own narrow vision could not define. Yet when I revealed her, hand clasped firmly in mine, she did not look to the crowd, to the flashes, or to the critics already forming their knives of doubt. Instead, her eyes locked with mine, as if we had always known this moment would arrive, and nothing else mattered but the truth of our bond. The internet cracked beneath the weight of curiosity, voices scrambling to label, to judge, to explain what their minds could not wrap around. But she remained steady, calm, carrying herself not as a figure desperate for approval, but as a woman born for her own kind of sovereignty, her own truth unshaken by digital storms. I saw it then. The reason the world gasped was not because she was shocking, but because she was undeniable, a reflection of a love so bold it had no choice but to break the internet open. In the flood of commentary, the memes, the endless reels and retweets, a deeper story breathed beneath the chaos. They expected a figure wrapped in conformity, someone painted by their imagination to fit into a mold they could applaud without hesitation. What they received instead was reality, raw and unpolished, unyielding and true. My future wife was not sculpted for their consumption, not built from fairy tales, designed to entertain idle hearts. She was real in her beauty, in her flaws, in the way she refused to bow to expectation. That authenticity was what made the reveal impossible to contain. The internet thrives on spectacle, but what destroys it is truth too sharp to be glossed over, too radiant to be ignored. She shattered not because she shocked, but because she embodied something too honest for a world addicted to filters. I saw then that it was not the reveal that broke the internet, but the reality of love that cannot be explained away. I had waited in silence, carrying the weight of knowing her in the spaces where others only guessed. The world thought they understood me, thought they could predict every step I would take, as though my heart had been scripted in advance for their entertainment. Yet in the quiet, we had built something the internet could not see, something no algorithm could predict. The reveal was never for their approval, but it struck like thunder because it disrupted their illusion of control. She, my future wife, walked into the storm and emerged untouched, her presence commanding in ways headlines could only stumble to describe. I remember the way her smile seemed to bend time, how even through the screen, millions felt its weight. They did not simply see her, they felt her, and in feeling her, they lost the fragile comfort of their expectations. That was the moment the internet broke, not from scandal, but from truth too fierce to dismiss. As we stood together, the world shifted. I saw messages pour in, some celebrating, others dripping with disbelief, and still others unable to find words at all. The chaos of the digital crowd surged like a tidal wave, but through it, we were the stillness at the center, holding on to one another with a grip unshaken. My future wife was not afraid, and neither was I. For the first time, people were not seeing what I had chosen. They were witnessing what I had always known. The internet, for all its noise, bowed to the rawness of love, to the undeniable electricity that flared between us. For months, even years, they had tried to define me by their lens. And yet here she was, the embodiment of a truth they never dared to predict. And so the reveal did not just break the internet, it redefined it, reminding the world that love cannot be staged, filtered, or bent into the set shape of their approval.